We start to notice it when they are very little. Their little hands reaching for food from a high chair, making a great mess of everything in front of them. It starts with their first furtive steps while they walk like drunken sailors across the living room, stumbling towards a grandparent's waiting arms. We're reminded of it when they go to school for the first time, filled with fear and excitement in equal measure. And again, when they pass on walking by to the front on graduation day to accept a diploma. And you wonder in your heart of hearts, how has time passed so quickly? We notice it in our parents, too. When you're a child, it feels like your parents know everything there is to know about the world. They seem so strong and competent. They have access to experiences and skills that you cannot even imagine. But as you get older, that relationship you have with your parents starts to change, doesn't it? It's hard not to notice your parents changing too. How they are more frail than they used to be. And how the time you have with them slips through your fingers like sand. Time. It's the slowest thing in the world when we're waiting for something to happen, and yet also it passes too fast. Time transforms us. It makes us older and wiser. It gives us aches and pains and problems. It's one of the greatest blessings and greatest curses that we live with. I've thought about this a lot, and I have to say I want to reflect with you tonight that I think that time is the most valuable thing that any of us possesses in our lives. It's far more valuable than money, than anything that we claim to own. We can always work to make more money, but we can never make more time. We cannot, with the greatest of effort, add a single second to our lives. We have what we are given, a precious, beautiful life, measured in treasured years. Even friendships we can replace. Money we can work for, possessions come and go. But time is by far the most precious thing we possess, and time, when we spend it, can never be replaced. Today we stand at the end of the year 2024, if you can believe it, which means that we lived more than 2 millennia since the birth of a child named Jesus of Nazareth. The date is not exact, but it's close enough. As you know, probably, Jesus died in his early 30s after just 2 years of teaching, healing, and preaching. 2 years of work that we have remembered now for 2,000 years. It could have happened anywhere, at any time. It happened in a particular place and time, while Quirinius was governor of Syria, in the immortal words of St. Luke. I don't think there was anything special about that time. I don't think it was any better or more important than any other era in which Christ might have come among us. And yet, it sent shockwaves around the world. Shockwaves of such magnitude that, have you ever thought about this? Every single license plate you drive by, every form of identification, your ID card in your wallet, every computer screen, every phone that you pick up, everything that you interact with on a daily basis carries on it the number of years that have passed since Quirinius was governor of Syria. What a strange thing. Jesus was born into a particular time and place like you and I, and he lived in it. He learned a trade. He loved his family. He spent his time wisely. And everything that happened from his baptism in the Jordan River to his execution as a heretic happened in 2 years. 2 wonderful, terrible years. How quickly that time must have passed for his family, for Mary, who stood at the foot of the cross, for his disciples, for his friends, for those who loved him. He was in his early 30s, a nobody from nowhere. And yet the shock waves of his life would spread to the ends of the earth. And for better or for worse, it's our time now. Maybe you can remember being a teenager and feeling like you had all the time in the world. The future seemed to come at a glacial pace. Maybe you're middle-aged and you know the terrible beauty of time well. Maybe you're older and you've seen the world change underneath your feet. It's our time now. And we have to use it as well as we possibly can. There's this wonderful old French folk story about a boy named Peter. And Peter, I think, was a lot like me when he was a child, a lot like the way that I was, maybe the way I still am. And in that time when he was a child, he was always looking forward to the next thing. And when it was winter time, he longed for the long, warm days of summer. And in the summer, he looked forward to ice skating and warm fires. At school, he would long for the weekend. And when he was waiting in the weekend, he would be bored and want to see his friends at school. One day, we were told Peter was wandering by himself in the forest, and he met a strange woman who offered him a gift, a ball of yarn. "What is that?" he asked her. "It's your life thread," she said. "And if you leave it be, time will pass normally. But if you wish for things to happen more quickly, you just pull on the thread, and an hour will pass like a second." And Peter was thrilled with this gift. And so the following day at school, while the teacher was droning on and on about something boring and he was daydreaming, Peter tugged just a little bit on that ball of yarn, and suddenly it was recess. But why pull it just a little bit? He thought. He pulled it hard, and school would be over entirely. And so he pulled it a long way, and suddenly his school days were gone, and he found himself apprenticed as a carpenter, engaged to be married to his sweetheart. And he was happy with life. But sometimes, if payday was just a little too long coming, or work bored him, he would just tug on that yarn to get things over with, get on with his life. And soon he was married, but one day he received a formal letter in the mail summoning him to serve in the army. He didn't want to do that at all. And so in order to get back to his life, Peter tugged on that string, gave it a really long pull, and his service was gone in a moment. And he was back at home surrounded with a now large family of children. But soon, lying in bed at night with growing money troubles, Peter wondered if everything wouldn't be better if those children were just out of the house and grown. And so he tugged a long time on that thread. And now he was older and things were quieter, and for a time they were better. But now his wife was ill, and the children were grown, and Peter did not know what to do. Maybe he should just retire and take care of his wife. And one day he was walking in the forest again like he had done so many times as a youth, and he looked at the yarn in his hand, which to his dismay was so much smaller than he remembered. And he heard a voice from the trees. "Peter, have you heard a good life?" "I don't know," Peter replied. "I don't have to wait for anything. I haven't had to suffer. And yet everything has happened so quickly, and I don't dare to pull that yarn again because it might bring the end. I wish your gift could have been different. I wish I could have put the thread back as easily as I could pull it out. Maybe I can ask for one thing, Peter said. I want to just live my life again as if it was the first time, but without that thread. I want to experience the bad as well as the good, without cutting it all short. And at least life won't pass quickly and meaninglessly like a dream. So be it, said the woman. And she took back the ball of thread. And in the next instant, Peter woke up and he was a boy again. And he woke up in his childhood bed. And he went to school that day. And it seemed like for the first time he noticed what a bright spring day it was. And how beautiful the trees were in the forest. And what a blessing it was to be alive. This Christmas, love the people who you are with right now. Because your time with them is not unlimited. Love them because they will not always be with you. All of us age, all of us change, all of us return to the one that made us. If you have children, they won't be with you forever. Their lives might take them on a long arc that doesn't always intersect with the arc that your life takes. If you still have parents, remember that your parents will not be with you forever. And their lives are precious. And their time with you is not unlimited. But most of all, use the time you have to make yourself right with your God. This life is a wonderful and beautiful thing, but it is short. It passes quickly, and we never get a second chance. There are no do-overs. We don't get to push the yarn back into the ball. Our life is a bright spark of light between one darkness and another. And what will we do with that light? What will we make of the time in which we are living? Will we look back at our time well spent or at time wasted? Will we look back at a life led in faith and hope or a life spent chasing the mirage of consumerism, running the treadmill of the boardroom and the bank? How will we spend our precious time? Savor a moment like this one today, gathered with your family around a tree, in a church like this one with hymns lifted high. Savor a moment like this with little hands unwrapping little presents or grandparents gathered around. Hold on to this. Nights like these are as rare as gemstones, as beautiful as a precious work of art. And I can tell you, it will never be the same again. And think about the time that you have been given. We only get one chance at this life, one chance and no more. So make your life shine. Offer it to the one who came among us as a child, who lived with us as a man, who died for us on a cross. What higher calling could there be than to give the times of our lives to the God who made us? After all, time is the most precious thing that we have. Holy Lord, on this memorial of your incarnation, give us the strength and the courage to follow you, not with the smallest of offerings, but the greatest, the times of our lives. Bless that time. Bless what we have brought to this day, and keep us mindful of the days to come. In your holy name, amen.